Welcome back, members. Let us begin with the second session for the day on the topic practical issues in search and survey under Income Tax Act 1961. And to develop on this, we have our program coordinator, CA Prashant GS. I welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon. We are indebted to our parents for life. We are indebted to our guru for the way we live. I take this opportunity to place on record my deep sense of respect and gratitude to my mentor, CA Venkatramani, who has been a guiding force and factor in my endeavor of profession. Also, my respects to CA Devraj and CA Shankar, who mentored me at various stages of my professional career. To say beside and set the tone down, we've had the first session dealing with the procedural aspects in search and survey, as to why a search is conducted, how it happens, the do's and don'ts that you're supposed to, the assessor have to take care, and certain precautions, and certain advice was given by Sachin as to how you're supposed to maintain yourself during the search, what goes behind before a search is authorized, so on and so forth. Sachin has put it across. Now we'll come to the practical aspects of it, as to when such an action is undertaken, what are practical issues that arise, and the legal remedies that we may be able to avail during those. Probably we can have it a little more like interactive session rather than a monologue, so that it will involve participation from your side, and also it will throw up new questions and probably new queries for all of us, instead of it being a monologue. Now, where do we start? At first, there were some questions which came up to say about the authenticity of authorization, who comes in, how do we verify. So whether these can be construed as issues or practical issues. Now let's start with the authorization itself. The Principal Director of Income Tax Investigation authorizes his officials to enter a particular premises based on a satisfaction note. Now, how do you validate this particular authorization? It was a valid query that somebody raised, saying that some officials enter the premises and say we are from income tax. They may show you ID cards and you will let them in. There are 2 or 3 ways practically which you can find out. One, ask them some different questions normally which, if you are not a real officer, you will not be knowing what to answer. Like how you teach a child, not when the stranger approaches, tell me something, a code. The stranger wouldn't know that the child will ask some code. Like that, ask a random question which should probably set him back. If he's a genuine officer, he will shut you down there. If not, that fellow will think. Because those things will be outside any book, any commentary written to say how will you identify a fake officer coming in. Because the behavior, traits, everybody is now getting trained. But you need to be probably street smart to identify that, because otherwise there is no mechanism. You may have that. One of the practical things would be to ensure that, to go to the income tax website, find out whether he is there, the batch which he belongs to, civil service code number, so on and so forth, to understand the identity of him. And now, how do you get onto the authenticity of it? He's coming in. What are your rights there? What can you do? One, you can undertake a search of the officials. There are 2 reasons why you have to do it. One, to ensure that they are not bringing anything in. 2, for you to be sure that no unwanted material information is flowing. Why is this important now? In this digital era, a small pen drive or a chip will contain probably 1 TB of information. In the earlier days, when you're talking about planting evidence, they had to physically carry something. Now, it's sufficient in a chip. And they say it was found in your house, in your bedroom, because the presumption is whatever is found belongs to you unless you rebut it. Therefore, it is advisable to take a search. There is no question of the officers feeling bad. See, we have normally heard assessors saying that, oh, kya sochenge, kya manenge. No, unless you are having a different thought in your mind saying either somebody from your family is getting married to the officer's family or vice versa, you need not have this feeling saying, what will the officer think? He is a government servant, paid salary by the government. He is doing his duty. You please carry on with your obligations of undertaking a search. So what does it signify? First, the confidence that you have that, yes, please come, I will also search you. You may still be found with stacks of cash. I'm not saying no, but still, what you perceive and what you portray yourself to be first, and you're legally within your limits to undertake a personal search of the officials coming in. So that you have to, then they will say they have come to search your premises. Whether the warrant is premises specific or assessee specific. It is generally premises specific only. For example, the warrant can be in the name of a different person and the premises may be somebody else's. For example, warrant can be in the name of Mr. Manjunath. Search warrant in the case of Manjunath, Mr. Tuppad. Why? The reasons may be different, known only to the income tax department. But once they enter the premises, there they will show you a warrant, says warrant in the case of so and so, the premises address is mentioned, we have come to the premises. It doesn't matter who is in the premises. Manjunath may be there, his friend may be there, his colleague may be there, or a totally unrelated person may be there. But the premises is being searched there. And whoever is there, they will record a statement. So it is premises specific. And then, what is your duty then? Can you seek a copy of warrant when they come? Can you? Because they will say, we have a warrant. So are you entitled to have a copy? The answer is no. You are entitled to see it, but you will not be given a copy of it. Because it is not your document, but a document in which your name is purportedly mentioned. So you can satisfy yourself about the genuineness of the document. You can question them, who signed it, who is the person. Before, in front of them, open your mobile, search for that. Now, most data is available online. Just because you find a name, it is very difficult for not to have a digital trail. Correct? You will find that person's name, who is authorized, whether he is IRS, at what grade is. Most likely, 99% of the times, you will find the data available. Who was signed? You can ask the officer, who signed this? Who is the principal director of income tax investigation? Who is authorized? There will be some name. Please Google it and check it. Nobody can stop you from verifying the authenticity of it, but you will not be entitled to the copy of the warrant. But they will be, you have every right to. Yes, sir. Yes, definitely, because whom are they searching?
No, they have premises specific, but the assessee, what they have mentioned, it is completely unrelated.
They don't mention the assessee. No, they don't mention the assessee. It is warrant in the case of, for example, continuing the example, warrant in the case of Mr. Manjunath, which means in his case they have recorded a satisfaction saying there is huge amount of undisclosed income and wealth and there is a warrant issued in his name. And because his wings are spread far too wide, different premises connected to him will be searched. In certain cases, they may mention the premises address with the name, say Tuppad, say Prashant. Warrant in the case of Manjunath Hallur, premises to be searched, Prashant, Malleshwaram, Bangalore. Possible. Assuming there is no name in that particular thing, but the warrant in the case of Manjunath, but there is no name, but there is a premises address. It is presumed that the premises is his. So when they come to the premises, the warrant is there for the premises, whoever is there cannot stop the search party. Legal recourse, they will call the police, you call them, find out the authenticity and say, why have you come, in whose case, they will be able to give you that. But most likely the name won't be left blank. If at all you find something like that, please at that point in time make an issue so that at later point in time you will not be able to raise that contention. I'll tell you the reason why. You had the Karnataka High Court judgment in Ramay Reddy wherein they said validity of search can be looked into by the appropriate authorities. and various facets of the validity of search could have been looked into by the appellate authorities. So, and it also resulted in some administrative inconvenience, be that as it may, but appellate authorities had the right. Subsequent to that particular judgment, which SLP was dismissed at the Supreme Court for non-monetary effects, it almost became the law of the land. At least in Karnataka, that judgment was ruling the roost. So, department amended the section with retrospective effect to say, reason to search or reason to suspect, as the case may be, will not be disclosed to any income tax authority, including income tax appellate tribunal. Which means even tribunal could not have called for the, or looked into the validity of search. Now what happens? Earlier regime, if you challenge a validity of search, there is a file in which the satisfaction would have been recorded. When the authorities call for it, the file has to be brought in. Now because you cannot challenge before till the tribunal, the only remedy is to a writ in the High Court, wherein you are supposed to show cause as to why you are availing that writ remedy, whether there is perversity in the action, illegality, whatever. So there may be a possibility that even if it's not recorded, you would not know. They have come without probably, plausibly not adequate information. Once they come and search you, they may find something. You don't know, you have no control on how it will be updated in the system or the record. So therefore, if you find that the warrant is blank or name is missing, make an issue then and there and ask them to record it, say, I will not let you inside. This is blank now. You go back, get your authorization, get it countersigned, come back. But are you able to put up that bold face? Up to the assessors to decide. But legally, you have that power to stop them saying, this is blank, I won't let you inside. But the premises need not always contain the name. Warrant in the name of, that is sufficient. If that is blank, you can definitely stop them from entering into your premises.
Location specific, and if in that location there are some 10 entities, so all the entities can be covered under the search.
If they are sharing this common address, yes, which is how the lot of transactions in Kolkata and all were unearthed, no? This bogus companies and share capital. How was it unearthed? When you go to search a particular premises, you find 100 companies there. Because it is for the premises, they have come, they have taken the documents, checked it. Subsequently, whichever company was genuine, they would have let them go. So therefore, there is a possibility of moving ahead.
So it's not unit wise. If warrant is for the apartment and there are rented units, if it is for that particular apartment.
See, the case specifics we'll take it up later because we can't stop at one apartment and building now. No, we will take it up. Case specifics we'll take it up a little later, but on the fundamentals, it is premises specific. Next question that arises is, can the business premise be sealed during the course of a search? Can they seal your business premises? Firstly, they have the power to break open the lock, almirah, ingress into it, check everything. They cannot seal your business premises. They can be there, they can conduct the search and then vacate the premises. If they are not able to seize a particular thing or not able to verify the contents, they are supposed to have it in the what is called as a PO, prohibitory order under 132(3), which means they find, say, thousands of files. They find it probably impractical to seize for whatever reason. They put it in one almirah, seal that in the proper official way, and they issue a PO, which means you are not supposed to open it till they come back and do it. So what happens? They have come to your premises, conducted the search, say from 5 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. or say next day morning 5 a.m. They have completed the search, had a PO on one of your almirahs or wardrobe as the case may be, and left. So which means they can come back for the PO. Question arises, what are the rights when they come back second time? Can they conduct the entire search once again? They have a PO. For that premises, there is a PO. Legally speaking, once they enter the second time, they have no business to check anything else excepting that almirah. Even if stacks of cash are found in the living room, they have no jurisdiction on that at that point in time. Subsequently, he may call up his superiors, ask them to give a warrant, do that. But when he comes in to open that PO, you need not even say, please sit in the, you can tell him, this is the almirah, sit there, open that, check, go back. He cannot use your house as his guest house when he comes the second time. Because the search warrant, when it's given to enter premises, it's a one-way ticket, it's not a season's pass. This also has been recorded by the Karnataka High Court in Rama Reddy's decision, saying that a search warrant is not a season ticket. Once you come in, you are supposed to complete your action and get out. If you look at the Panchanama closely, you will have the search commenced at so and so time and concluded, temporarily concluded or finally concluded. When do you temporarily conclude it, whether it's permissible to say why you have stopped at a particular thing, and when you say finally concluded, so each one will have its significance. When you say temporarily concluded, he has put a PO. Next time when he comes, the entire premise is not open to him. Whatever he is supposed to check in the PO, only that is open to him, legally speaking. What happens practically, your assessors would have told you better. But legally speaking, this is what your rights are. And when they come for search, it was already mentioned by the previous speaker that children should be let to go to school, yes, but after checking their school bags also. Because instances were there in the past when diamonds and other things were kept in school children's bag and sent to school, and therefore the reason why the department came with information, they could not find it. Now they have said, look, there is a guidelines, rights, taxpayers charter is there as to the do's and don'ts. You are supposed to ensure that children will go to school. You can check their belongings, their notebooks, your lunch box, everything, and then ensure that they go. Next question arises is, will you be permitted to cook at home? And can you feed that food to the income tax department? Can you cook at home? It's your house. All of you are there. Search is happening, but will it stop? Can they stop you from cooking? But they can stop you from feeding them. Because obviously they will not want to take any chances with what you feed them, they will not. But practically what they do, they ensure that food is ordered for all of you together from a third party place, which is what practically happens. But if you ask me legally, can an assessee cook and eat in his house? Yes, they can cook, they can have their meals. And Atiti Devo Bhava, you can also serve it to the department officials. They may or may not have it at their discretion. There is no legal rule prohibiting from having lunch at your premises when they come. But generally wisdom prevails and they will not eat what you have cooked at that point in time. Because these things, yes sir.
This is like giving gratification to the search team.
Not really. Offering coffee, tea or biscuits or whatever is, you cannot call it as gratification. Definitely it won't fall into that category in any case. In any case it won't fall into that category unless you are wanting to talk something else which is outside this ambit because we are being recorded here. So, one more question that arises is, what do you mean by information? Now we are coming to that. 132 says where the DGIT, PCIT has information in its possession that, what is that information? Can it be mere gossip or rumor? Because nowadays you have this technology which is ingressed into everybody's life so much, you really don't know whether what is true or not. You may be made to believe that something existed in a particular manner, in a particular fashion 5,000 years ago, and there are probably a crore of people who will believe it. So you really don't know whether what is being now spread around as information is actually information required for the purpose of search. What is information for you to judicially understand it? It must be instruction or knowledge concerning a fact or particulars, or a knowledge or fact of pertaining to law. Which means it needs to have a concrete existence. It needs to have some with tangible material with which you can have evidence, can be corroborated. That is what is called as information. Mere gossip or rumor cannot be construed as information, but that does not preclude the department from conducting its own investigation, finding out whether that gossip or rumor is true or false, having the inquiry. They do it in a very subtle manner, like Sachin was explaining that they will recce the place, they will pose as customers, find out details about your business. All of that is being routinely done. It's not that it's something new. They have been doing it, they continue to do it. And the assessees are also becoming smarter by the day as to how they transact, how it's happening. So things are evolving, but compared to how it was many years ago to how the search is being conducted now and the evidence and the way documents are being given to you after search, now it's completely different. They digitize it immediately. The question of they seizing some documents with you and then subsequently saying they have lost it, and it has happened, wherein in the past we have learned from our super seniors that how this has happened. They have seized certain books during the course of assessment. Fortunately, that officer told the senior, Mr. Sri Venkateshan, who is no more. He is called the Bhishma Pitamaha of income tax litigation. Probably entire Bangalore would know him. So he had that art. So the moment he got to know about the information that a particular book was missing from the department's tables, if they have taken about 100 books and written out each book, the answer given during search was, what is this, where is it recorded? It is recorded in that book. It is recorded in that book. So what happens at the end of it? You have 99 books with you. You are asking about particular undisclosed transactions or whatever. My answer is, it is there in that book which you have seized, and you have given me the Panchanama saying this book is seized, and department has lost it. So those days are over now. What they do the moment they seize, they have high technology cameras and other things. They scan each page, running into thousands of pages, and within a short span of time, they're giving you in a pen drive, document seized. By and large, physical document seized, they're giving it to you in digitized format. You yourself will not have it. Your chits, what you have written it manually. They are digitizing and giving it to you, saying, look, for ease of reference and future understanding, please keep it with you. They are digitizing and giving it to you. So department has also undergone the transformation in terms of technology. So certain issues are defense, what was a defense mechanism many years ago may not hold good in the light of evidence now. But now we move on to the next leg, saying digital evidence. 65B of Evidence Act, read with Information Technology Act. What is electronic evidence? How do you construe it? How is it presumed to be yours? Whether there is a certificate with that hash value saying that information which is there has been encrypted here. They take your mobile, they clone it, they have the entire data. They have access to all your personal data there. Your photos, deleted messages, whether you want or not, they will retrieve it for you. You might have deleted for a purpose, but they will retrieve it for another purpose. So it is the bane of technology, you can't help it. Once you are having a smartphone and have all these apps installed, you delete it, it's there. You delete it, it's there. Probably Ravana had only 10 heads, but this is much more, you can't even comprehend. You keep deleting, it will keep coming back. So therefore, the issue of evidence, we are moving the digital era now. So next question is whether they have seized something, whether a certificate under 65B of the Evidence Act to say this is electronic evidence is obtained. Whether this satisfies the condition of it being an electronic evidence in terms of Information Technology Act. It may be. Maybe in certain cases they might have failed. But it is definitely evidence. Take a situation, they have seized something, pen drives, hard disks, and they find information, and there is no proper authentication of that. Fine, you may deny it, and that particular search may end saying, okay, but even though the search is illegal, the law is very clear, the documents or evidence collected even during an illegal search can be used against you and definitely will be used against you. Puranmal versus CAT, very old Supreme Court judgment, 93 ITR, page number 505. So therefore, we cannot get over that aspect saying, look, the search is illegal, fine, that proceeding might end there. Next day morning, they may start one more. They may issue a 148 notice for you, saying income is escaped assessment. And what is the information in its possession? This evidence. And you cannot question saying whether it's legally or illegally obtained. Fine, it is illegally obtained, he may admit it. But whether it is information or not for the purpose of issuance of a notice, it is definitely information. The legality or not, fine, the search may be termed as illegal, but subsequent proceedings cannot be termed illegal because the evidence what was gathered can be used. So therefore, your time limit then will be saying, okay, you want to challenge search. Yes, sir.
What is the difference between information and evidence, sir?
See, evidence should be to say, information is Manjunath has got 1 lakh hidden in his, blazer now. That is information with all of you. Evidence should be, if you search him, you should find 1 lakh. That is evidence. That, in simple terms, that's the difference. Evidence must correspond to that fact, what is available. Information can be on, more, I'm not saying it's gossip, but there may be money with him. Maybe it's like an information. But money was found with him is the evidence. Money may be there with him is an information for you. You may go and search him with that information. If money is found, it translates into evidence. If there is no money found, that information was incorrect. In a nutshell, that's how you can.
So 148 is reason to believe.
No, the term reason to believe is no longer existent in the new 148 now. So therefore, that particular concept of reason to believe and how 148 is progressing, though technically, though it's outside topic, I am making mention, we may still infer that needs to be there, but technically under the present 148, reason to believe is no longer an ingredient. And for search, even reason to suspect is enough. So under 132, reason to believe or reason to suspect. And reason to suspect is a term which is very wide in connotation compared to reason to believe. One more question that arises is whether a mere petition, say by anonymously written to the department saying so and so has got so much money, is it sufficient? Will the income tax conduct a raid based on that? See, this is what is popularly depicted in the entertainment channels and movies, saying you tip off and somebody next day come in. That necessarily doesn't translate like that. Even if you're making a petition, if you're able to correlate that information with evidence, saying, look, he's doing this, I have photographed this, or I have videographed, or these are transaction details, he's dealing with so-and-so people, or he has given me an invoice without tax numbers, or I have paid cash, this is the proof of having purchased. Unless you're able to yourself provide some evidence to it, a mere petition would not result in a search. Unless that sort of information or petition is so strong on facts that you've seen that crores of rupees cash was found stacked, and you call up and inform them, and they come and check and found yes. But merely writing anonymous letters saying there's a lot of money with so and so will not really, because department also conducts its own investigation, has its team, they're also gathering information from the ground, from various sources. So unless they match, if they are already suspecting a person of tax evasion and there's a petition against him, they will still investigate into it before they come to the house. It doesn't happen like a movie style wherein you call up income tax and say there's money here and they will not swoop upon you next moment. It doesn't happen that way. Now, one legal question which we were always proposing was, when they are authorizing a search, a particular officer will have his own satisfaction on why a particular search must be conducted. Can that power be delegated? Can that power be delegated? If it's delegated, how do you find out whether it's delegated or not? If it is, if they are governed by the Official Secrets Act and the terms are such that they are not supposed to share. Now what's news in the media is one of the members of the parliament has shared the user ID and password with a third party despite the condition that it should not be shared. Which means government officials and people, they will have certain code to be followed saying they cannot do a particular thing. A violation of that you may be able to point out, but it is very difficult for a normal assessee to point out saying whether the authority is delegated or not. But if you are able to establish that this person had no authority or he has delegated it, you will be able to question that in the court of law. But it becomes highly difficult for you to question that. And one more question which came up was whether it's criminal proceeding or such civil proceeding. Under the search, 132 subsection 13 says, the provisions of criminal procedure code to the extent or insofar as may be applicable will be applied here, which means taking help of a police officer under section 65 of the CRPC and having the reserve force, all those things. But that doesn't mean this becomes a criminal activity and criminal jurisprudence will not set in. They only have the power to get the police protection and ensure that the search is conducted in a proper manner, which is why they say of provisions of CRPC insofar as may be applicable, apply in this case. 132 subsection 13 talks about the applicability of CRPC. One more issue we have come across is seizure of cash in a moving vehicles. Correct? It's day in, day out, you will find that. How do you classify that as, and when do they release it? Mere possession of large quantity of cash or huge amount of cash, it means nothing. It is not even information. Yes, you have cash, fine, so what? The information or some evidence which must be available with them must say that it points out to it being either illegal or from undisclosed sources or for tax evasion or for money laundering, so on and so forth. Only then it will constitute information. But during routine checks on the highways, police will intercept your vehicles, find the cash. But you observe that police will not seize that cash, they will make that mazar of that and immediately inform the income tax authorities. Police will not say that it belongs to them. No. They will conduct a mazar, they seize the cash, they will take it to the station in accordance with the law, but they will inform the income tax who will come, who will record that statement and then seize the cash. Police will temporarily take it from you so that you won't run away with the cash. Because subsequently when you are questioned, if you say there is no cash, so therefore they have that power, but income tax will come and seize that particular cash.
In GST proceedings, GST officers don't have the power to seize the cash.
Yes,
They call in the income tax department.
exactly.
Once the GST proceedings are completed, whether the search proceedings can be started by the income tax department based upon the cash seizure.
Possible. There's nothing in law is stopping them because they need not start a search proceeding. They will start a regular income tax proceeding on you. They will issue a notice for assessment. Assessment or reassessment as the case may be. Because the powers of the GST authorities do not extend to seizure of cash, they are calling in income tax. Fine. Because GST, they have nothing to do with your cash as such. They are wanting to look at supply, whether the goods have moved, whether you have the records for input tax properly availed, whether it is circular trade, whether are you falling within the ambit of law for supply of goods or services. Whether you have found cash or not, it is not his prerogative at all. He is not on taxing your income but collecting tax on the supply. Because it is a tax on supply, he is not bothered about cash being found. It may be cash sales. How does it make a difference to GST authority? For example, if there is a hotel, he will be if they are collecting in cash. You find most of these roadside outlets which were also raided, of course, recently by GST authorities, wherein they found that huge cash was. He wants to know what is the supply, taxable value of supply on which he is supposed to collect GST from you. Whether you collect it through banking channels or cash or UPI, he will not bother. Whether have you supplied goods to this extent, have you collected tax, or and if you are not issuing the invoice properly, whatever you have collected is deemed to be inclusive of tax. If you say that you have received 1 lakh in your bank account for sale of food items on the cart, it is deemed to be inclusive of GST. So he will accordingly prepare his document. Cash income tax will seize and they are at liberty to continue the proceedings or start proceedings on assessment or reassessment as the case may be. Next, you can take a position of warrant in the case of an assessee who no longer exists. I'm not talking dead person. If the warrant is in the case of a dead person, that warrant is null and void. But now with the corporates coming in and the searches on corporate groups increasing, how do you look at it? You have the Supreme Court judgment in Maruti Suzuki wherein after amalgamation, if the notice was in the earlier erstwhile company, the notice was struck down as null and void. So what happens? That the notice is issued in the case of the erstwhile company, the warrant, and probably that particular information that whether the High Court has accorded the sanction for merger or not is not properly available with the department. Though technically before the merger happens, income tax will be issued a notice and they will also give their objections. Be that as it may not be shared with internally also. What happens then? that particular warrant is null and void. You can say that this is not my company, I will not let you inside. He may come back tomorrow or an hour later, but at that point in time you have every right to stop him. If the notice is in the name of the erstwhile company and amalgamation or demerger as the case maybe has taken place, you need not let them into your premises, because the warrant is in the name of a person who no longer exists in the eyes of law. Therefore, they can't forcefully enter your premises. They are at liberty to call up their superiors, inform them about this, get a fresh authorization, come again, no problem. Let them inside then. But they must be, the companies also must be aware of their rights and duties as to what they can and what they can do. What happens in case of assessees having multiple business in different states? You are having business here, mining operations in Karnataka. You have across the border in Tamil Nadu and Andhra and Telangana. Search will be conducted simultaneously. It's not that they will conduct search here on your premises and they go to your other premises a week later. It doesn't serve the purpose. So teams from across the country will be mobilized for that particular search. They will conduct a search there. In say in Andhra, they conduct a search on one of your units. Which is the officer who will go there? Because the officer here would have authorized his deputies to undertake the search. And the commissioner here will not have administrative jurisdiction over an officer in Andhra or Telangana. So what happens? He will inform his equivalent there. He will authorize that officer to say go and search. That means the officer in Bangalore can communicate to the officer in Andhra or Telangana either orally, by letter, fax, mobile, email, whatever. All that has to do is this is information, this is assessee, please issue a warrant. They will do that. Because you can't question why the warrant is being issued. That is outside your purview. They can come and search. Whether it is invasion of privacy, yes, but Constitution provides for that, saying reasonable restrictions on privacy can be had in cases of search and seizure. It's not that you are not permanently being denied your fundamental right. No, Karnataka officer will not be asked to issue a search warrant in Andhra. You have, say, premises in Bangalore. You have premises across the border in Andhra. This officer may go there with the proper authorization. Nobody can stop him. Sometimes it so happens that you are here, you find out that he has a business in Andhra. You will not have the time to send the same officer from here to there. You will call up the department there and say, this is the premises, authorize somebody. So the jurisdictional head there will authorize his subordinate to go and search their premises, and Panchanama is prepared, documents are seized and then handed over, which will be, case will be centralized at the place where you are regularly assessed. If you are assessed in Bangalore, the register office is here, and your case will be centralized in Bangalore. You also have the power to say, no, I have shifted most of my operations. My register office was in Bangalore. Most of my operations are in Tamil Nadu now. Please centralize the case there with all evidence. They may centralize. It's not that they won't centralize, because ultimately the assessment will be conducted in one place. Not only for you, the director, if it's a corporate, the company, the directors and its associate companies, everything will be centralized to ensure that assessment happens in one place with one officer. So that information flow is there. There is no miscommunication insofar as providing information or saying that it is recorded in some other books. They can't verify. No. They should have access to information at all times, and they will ensure that it is done. One more thing that springs up is, we discussed whether can you cook. Can you sleep when the search is happening? Can they come wake you up and then conduct a search? You are sleeping. Is it a violation? Is it? First question is sleep a fundamental right? Can you say eating is a fundamental right? Right to livelihood is different from right to live. Right to livelihood is you should be given enough and more opportunities to ensure that you are able to lead a life. Right to life, yes. He is not duty bound to provide you food. He is not duty bound to say he will feed you. Of courtesy, they will ensure that you are given, you are permitted to take your medicines, all of that is done. But whether right to sleep is a fundamental right. Can you say that, look, you come, do your work, I am sleeping. You come, I have entertained you inside the house, I have verified your identity. Yes, you are the officer. Please search. I want to sleep. Wake me about 6 o'clock and conduct this. Is it permissible? Can you sleep? Is sleep a fundamental right? Say they knock your door at 1 a.m. because search can be undertaken at any point in time. Unlike survey, they can come to you even at midnight. So, do you have the power to say you want to sleep? No, that's beside. My first question is, can you say, I want to sleep, you do your search? My the answer will be, legally speaking, yes, because if you look at the Ram Leela Maidan case before the Delhi High Court, wherein police chased away the protesters in the middle of the night, Delhi High Court said right to sleep is a fundamental right. So why are you ingressing upon that right? He's sleeping, fine. You conduct your search. What is that you're wanting? You want to break open all the almirahs. Break open. Or I'll hand over all the keys to you before I sleep. Open everything. Have a stock pile of it. Keep recording. I'll get up and answer. Nothing stops you in law. Legally speaking, you can say I want to sleep. Corollary question, what happens? Assuming they've come early in the morning and they're continuing the search till late hours and they want to record a statement at that time. Are you forced to give a statement? Well, one point where I differ with Sachin is, Sachin said you are supposed to answer every question, otherwise they will issue penalty notice. I differ there because he will ask you a question. Your answer can be, and you are legally correct, saying that, look, you are asking me a question. This is only a preliminary proceeding. I will answer and give all the evidence to my jurisdictional officer during assessment, because the action of search does not result in fastening a liability. It's only an action undertaken with the objective of conducting an assessment, which ultimately will lead to framing of completion of assessment and fastening a liability to you. So, by conducting a search or by entering a premises, there is no tax liability on you. So, therefore, you can say this is only a preliminary proceeding. I will not answer this. I will give the details to my officer during assessment. This can be your answer. They cannot question you. They are supposed to record it as it is. There is no law which says you are supposed to answer all his questions. You are entitled to say, I don't know. I will remember. I don't recall now. Give me some time. I will refresh my memory and tell you. I don't know is a very valid answer. To say, I will give it to you later. If you say, I will not inform you at all, but be legally correct in saying, this is only a preliminary proceeding. I will give all the evidence to my jurisdictional officer. To the best of my knowledge, whatever I remember, I am telling you this. Same time, don't get yourself bound onto that statement to say this is all. And you will also have a question saying, do you have anything else to say? The last question in any statement, do you have anything else to say? Reiterate that. This is at 3 a.m. I am not completely in proper state of mind. Because you have conducted the search, I am mentally disturbed or I am not completely fresh. Therefore, this statement may be subject to corrections, alterations. They are supposed to technically record it, legally speaking. What happens practical, whether they record it or not is another thing. But they are supposed to record it. You have every right to say that this is your answer. If most of you have looked at the search statements, statement number 132.4, they will have a question, your name, father's name, your occupation, your mobile number, email ID. They will also say giving false statement, you can be imprisoned, all those things, which means liable for prosecution, etc., etc. Then the next questions will be, please state your source of income. You will say income from profession of chartered accountancy. Okay. What is the income declared? Remember what you filed last week, you will still tell. But if you look at the questions, please give me details of 5 years of income. The question is not saying, I am showing you certain documents, comment on this. He is asking you a question, please give me details of the income of the last 5 years. And then subsequently, if you look at documents, records and give an answer saying assessment in 1819, 1 crore 14 lakh 66,434, income declared, income assessed 1 crore 16 lakh. At the end of it, tomorrow you can question saying the question itself was wrong. Because the question nowhere is specifying that, look, I am showing you this particular document, what is that? No, he is asking you a question, what is your income? And you are answered for 6 years of your income with complete particulars. Even worse question will be, how many bank accounts do you have? You will say 20. They will say, give me the details. And the answer will contain serial number 1, HDFC Bank, account number, type of account, savings, cash credit or current, Axis Bank, account number. Humanly impossible that somebody would remember 20 bank account details, 20 account numbers which are containing 10 or 12 or 15 digits. Which means these are some of the aspects on which tomorrow you can take a defense saying, this will not win you the case. This will not make the search illegal. This can only buttress your claim to say, the statement was not entirely voluntary or it is not what it is made out to be. When they say it is voluntary everything, fine, but how is it possible that I will rattle out account numbers of 20 bank accounts, different accounts I have with account numbers and type of account. So these are small practical aspects which you must remember. If the question is, I am showing you, the documents are found, I am showing you this particular statement, what is that? Then you can say this statement, this paper is statement belonging to HDFC Bank account. The account number is mentioned in the statement. Then there is a valid question and a valid answer. If the question is how many bank accounts you have got, the answer can be stopped at 20 bank accounts. Which are there? You may say, I have HDFC, Axis, Canara Bank, SBI and others. The details I will give to you later. Which is a genuine answer. But if the answer contains account numbers, other things, it's a little pointing out needle of suspicion saying it is not completely a voluntary statement. Whether that particular statement would give you relief in the on additions made, no, because ultimately they will frame assessment based on tangible evidence. But these are defense mechanisms available to you to say the statement is not voluntary. One more thing you would have come across in most cases is somebody is admitted to income during search. One discussion which went on was a statement on oath in a search and survey. In a survey, there is no power to record the statement on oath. And assuming during the course of survey, a statement is recorded on oath, that statement has no legs to stand the test of law. That statement is null and void because it is outside the purview of Oaths Act, Khadar Khan, Supreme Court 35288, it was Madras High Court, affirmed by the Supreme Court. So therefore, statement cannot be recorded on oath during a survey. But under search, under 132(4), when they record a statement, it will be on oath, or when they issue a summons to you under 131, they will record it on oath. And giving false statements voluntarily without knowing that you are giving false particulars may entail prosecution in your case. And a statement on oath can be used as an evidence against you in the court of law. Whereas a statement which is not supposed to be recorded on oath, when it's recorded, that loses its evidentiary value. Whether the contents can be used against you, yes. But the statement as such will be null and void. So now what happens to this income declared during search? What is the stage at which you call it is during the course of search? They come to your premises morning 6 a.m. They're getting off at 10 p.m. They ask you questions. You want to declare something, I found this. Whether a statement recorded then, is it during the course of search? Or they come next week, they open the PO, find some more files, question you, is then, or after this ends and before the investigation ends, you voluntarily go and give a statement saying this happened, chronology of events. Kindly treat this as a declaration under 138(4). Is it permissible? It's up to the courts to understand and department to accept it. Though hyper technical approach to say a statement recorded many days after search may not be treated as 132(4). You can make a plea saying, kindly treat this as a 132(4) statement, which means you are bound by it. You are willing to give into that statement, which means you are agreeing that that will be used against you as evidence, is one part of it. What do you mean by admission of income? Can the department force you to admit something? They have seen your laptop, they have seen the sales, they have found documents that this particular sales has not been, some sales have not been accounted. Can they now tell you that this is your income? There is evidence. I am not saying it is they are talking in thin air. No. They are talking with evidence saying, look, we have found this evidence. We have found this. You have not recorded this. This is income. Please admit it. Are you bound to admit it? With evidence I am talking. I am not talking that they have simply found a cheat. No. They have found a bill which you have purchased. Say cash purchases you have made. You have not disclosed that in the books for obvious reasons. Can they now force you to admit that income? What happens? Isn't it income, technically speaking? Or isn't it liable to dissolvents? Or the source of cash, if it's unexplained, it becomes unexplained investment. Can you admit to that income in the statement? Can the department force you to admit? There are guidelines to say confession statement should not be obtained. 2003 there are guidelines as to how you are supposed to obtain statements. There should be no pressure on assessors to declare. There is department guidelines in 2003 itself. But talking about admission, say during the course of search, you want to send these fellows off. You don't want to see their site any longer. You will say, okay, there are a lot of things. I declare 10 crores as additional income from my business. That fellow is happy. You will record a statement saying you have declared 10 crores and he'll go. Is it valid?
He can retract the subsequent assessment.
Exactly. First thing is you have given a statement saying you are declaring 10 crores. Next, you have the right to retract. When the earliest to retract, the stronger it stands on terms of evidence. Assuming at 3 a.m. after a day-long grueling search, they have recorded some statement, you have given something. Next day morning or a day after that, if you say, look, I had given this statement, this is completely wrong. I have evidence here, this is a proof. At that day I could not recall that because it was at 3 a.m. and this is the document, which means that retraction will have a stronger. But is retraction automatic? Take a situation, you have given a statement that you admit to ABCD and you don't retract it, which means you don't file one more letter saying that you are retracting. What happens then? What happens then?
Act as an evidence.
Correct. So
So liability will be faster at that rate of
there is something called deemed retraction, which is not found anywhere. What do you mean by deemed retraction? After the search, investigation is complete, the case is centralized, they issue a notice for you under 148A, erstwhile 153A and 153C, much before that block assessment under 158BCBD. Now they'll issue a notice to you saying file a return of income. So if you have admitted something in a statement recorded during search and you don't offer that income correspondingly in the return filed after search, in my view it's a deemed retraction of the statement on that date, which means by express actions you have disowned your earlier statement. And does it mean they can't make those additions during the assessment? You have declared 5 items saying unexplained expenditure, marriage expenditure, cash sales. You have declared a lot of things, but you will not include that while filing the return of income. And you say it's retracted. Does it mean they cannot make those additions during assessment?
Unless we substantiate with evidence.
Correct. What happens? One is deemed retraction. Evidence you will give. Even then, department can still go by your statement under 132 to say this has got far more evidentiary value, but unless you're having evidence which proves that your statement was wrong. If you admitted saying, look, you have showed me a particular paper, this is a purchase invoice, I purchased in cash, and you've explained details, and tomorrow you turn around and say, no, no, this is not my invoice. It is not sufficient. You are supposed to prove that it did not belong to you. Whoever has sold it is not sold it to you, but somehow it found its way here. Somebody else has purchased it. You bring affidavit or confirmation from the seller of that item saying it was not sold to you, it was sold to somebody else, so and so has accounted it. That becomes an evidence. Merely saying, no, it does not belong to me, will not help you. So deemed retraction is fine, but only when you have enough evidence with you to disprove the contents. Then you will be able to get out of that particular thing, because you have the celebrated judgment of the Supreme Court in Pullangode Rubber Produce Company, 91 ITR page number 18. At page number 20 of the judgment they say, an admission is an extremely important piece of evidence, but it is for the person who made the statement to prove that the contents are not proper. So if you are able to substantiate anything with evidence, you will be able to retract it. And practically speaking, the earlier you retract with evidence, the stronger your retraction is. Or else you are retracting for the sake of it, and department will still go by your statement because it's got evidentiary value, which will be used against you and then used to fasten a liability on you. Therefore, you have to be very little careful there on that. Now, who are the persons who can assist in the search now? Now in the digital era and the technological advancements, you will need domain experts. If they go to a proper software development services company and who are dealing with cloud computing and other things, what will they will not find cheats. You will not find small black books written saying 1 lakh paid here, 2 lakhs paid here. You may not find it. They may have something which to do with technology which normal people are not competent enough to decode. So now you had amendment in Finance Act 22 wherein with effect from 1/4/2023, any person or entity who may be approved in accordance with the procedure laid down can be used to assist the officers during search. Like you have how they call in a jewelry expert or a registered government valuer to value your jewelry, a registered valuer to assess the value of your cost of construction and other things and say how much must be the value. Similarly, they are now empowered to bring in experts from different fields, maybe cyber security experts, IT experts, domain experts to say how do you value a particular value of art. What may seem to be an innocuous paint, somebody may say, look, this is hand painting done and it is crore of rupees. Somebody else may dismiss it as saying, no, this is some random colors thrown on some canvas, I don't even count it. So it goes again with a domain expert certifying who's done it, what is the artist, at what price this artist's works have sold in the past. If I take random colors and do some hand painting, it may be value may be negative. People may actually throw at me. But whereas same done by a reputed painter, say one MF Hussain done it, people will probably stand in a queue to buy it. How do you now value that? Both of us are using some paints, randomly do this. He may have a story to tell as to what that is. I may not have anything to tell. People will not value my statement saying this artwork is worth 1 crore, they may not. Unless it goes with some certification to say that I'm an accredited artist. My works of this throwing paint on canvas with the hands and making those designs are actually worth and people are buying it. It is not what you read in the paper saying a politician was able to garner 2 crores by painting. No, they will be questioned. Because everybody cannot become an artist and a best-selling artist to make crores of rupees for painting, when a normal budding artist would take 100 years to reach that stage. For every one MF Hussain who would have reached, you will have thousands of them who are wanting to make it big. Therefore, they will be able to bring in domain experts to assist them. So, technology is catching up with people and you will find it difficult by the day to ensure that to come out of it. One question that arises is, during the course of search, they found fixed deposit receipts. Because even now, FDs up to a particular limit can be done online in most banks. Beyond a particular threshold, it has to be through a physical thing only. They will not permit you to have it online for whatever banking regulations permit. I'm not getting onto those things. So they find these FD receipts. What is the sanctity of it? Can they seize it? Can they seize FD receipts? Can they seize? I understand this lunch is still away, but can they seize FD receipts? Yes. What can they do next with that? The time limit has expired there for renewal, or can the department encash the FDs? Like they seize the cash and deposit in a PD account, what is known as a personal deposit account. They deposit cash, and which is found from your premises, they seize the cash, they deposit. Can they encash the FDs? They cannot. It has to be in the bank only. At most, they should be they even permit you to sign the document to ensure that the FD is renewed. But department does not have the power to encash it. They can attach it, which means the proceeds of that particular FD may not come to you. Which means, even though interest accrues on that, you are liable to pay income tax on the interest accrued on that, but the money will never reach you. It can be seized by the department, interest will get accrued on that FD, you will not have access to withdraw that money, but still you will be liable to pay income tax on that interest accrued or received, as the case may be. So in instances where department has encashed FDs and other things, how can they encash it? Unless they take a letter from SSC saying he is liquidating and pass it on to the bank, bank should not ideally credit the proceeds into the bank account. So therefore, those precautions have to be taken, because most of them will not be aware of these things. They will sign saying that, okay, money is there in the bank. Next, what happens to bank accounts which are seized on the day of search? All disclosed bank accounts have to be released immediately, which are recorded in the books of accounts and disclosed, unless they are able to pinpoint a transactions in that at that point in time saying this money available in this is due to undisclosed income and information. The normally used accounts for business purposes, which are there recorded in the books of accounts, they have to release it. They cannot seize that or have that lien on the account.
Even a single entry of undisclosed income can make the bank account liable to seizure.
No, it is, whether it is not a single entry or not, first they have to point out that this is, they will ask you a question. First they will seize the bank accounts so that you will not be able to transfer money. Then you will give a letter saying, look, this is my regular bank account, this is where my transactions are being recorded in the books of accounts, this is a normal current account, and it is recorded in the books of accounts, so this is not an undisclosed bank account as such. So to the extent it is not an undisclosed bank account, they are supposed to release it. Because on that day he will not know whether you have paid tax on a particular receipt or not. And not all credits are incomes. So therefore, if it's a disclosed bank account, he knows that it's available with him. If it's an account opened during the year, which income tax does not know what's happening there, that account he will not release it. Unless you prove that this, look, there is a credit of 25 lakhs here on this date from so and so. This is the money I have raised the invoice, I have got the money into this account, I have paid GST on this, or I have paid, then they may release it.
So what I'm asking is there is a sale of movable property and it is in a disclosed bank account.
In a disclosed bank account.
But that entry he is not given it in the last year. It's not
No, they will not seize the bank account, they will release the bank account and collection of tax. See, there may be 101 reasons why tax may not be liable to be paid on that. You might have sold, you might have claimed exemption. Just because you have, there is a credit does not mean it is undisclosed. But if they find your normal business for the last 5 years, you say 5 crores per year, suddenly you have 50 crore credit line. If you are saying it is income and paid advance tax on that, he will release the account. If you say nothing, you received the money yesterday, in the current year, business income, prove with records saying this is invoice raised, this is money received, he can't seize that account as well. What pertains to current year, which is liable to advance tax, he cannot seize that. So you have to look at it practically as such, as to how they will treat, and legally you must be aware of the rights. Only then you will be able to come out of the search and search assessments. If I go only theoretically, you will go thumping a chest here saying, look, you have gathered too much information today, case loss, you will go and fight department. You will go out and see the reality saying nothing of it will work. Unless there is a combination of technical approach and how practically things work, you will be able to work through the procedures. And how do you say that something arbitrary action was taken? Say they find a lot of books. Can they say merely they will put it in Almila and say I will come back tomorrow, or can you force them to take it away? Can you force department to seize something? Can you force department to seize something? your rights will be there to tell them that, look, you are putting it in a PO, please record reasons and show the reasons as to why it is impractical to seize and why are you having it in a PO. That he has to record. During the course of search, once he is taking a particular wardrobe or almirah and dumping documents there, he has to record reasons to say why is it practical not to seize for him, assuming he have found this hall full of documents which he cannot obviously, so then he will lock both the doors, put a PO on this and go. But if it is only a bunch of files, what is the necessity for him to have a PO? Legally, no. Practically, he is playing with your mind. Which means you still think your house is not completely yours, there is a PO, he can come anytime. They are playing on your weakness to say, look, they can come anytime. Which means you are still in that state of mind wherein they have come, they already searched me, there is a PO, I can't even go to that room. It's a mind game. But they must record a satisfaction as to why they are not seizing a particular document. Because they are at liberty to take everything, all the documents they find. There is no law which prevents that they should not take originals, no. They can take original sale deeds because your right as a taxpayer is to collect the photocopies of all the documents seized. That they cannot deny. Whether it's a legal document, illegal document, whatever it is, whatever they have seized from you, you have a right to have a copy of it. If you are seeking physical copies of it, nowadays they are giving it in digital format. If you want it in the same format saying I want physical copies only, you are supposed to take your printer to the income tax premises on appointed date, pay the charges for electricity and other things and whatever, and then they will have their person who will take photocopies in your presence and give it to you. That's the procedure. Practically, you have to take the printer, UPS, whatever, and they will have some charges which you are supposed to pay by challan, and then they will give you the photocopies. It's not that legally not permissible, they will give it to you. And when they give it to you digitally, no charges, absolutely, because your chits have been digitized and given it to you, so they are not charging anything for that. One important amendment which has come in the recent past is provisional attachment of property during the search. Earlier under the Income Tax Act, unless a liability was fastened, you could not have attached a particular property. So what was happening? A search is conducted. Before the assessment, they were alienating the properties. So what was happening? Department was not able to recover tax due because on the date of sale of the particular asset, there was no liability on him. He will go to the court and say, look, when was the liability on me? 31st March 2023. When have I sold it? 14th April 2022. Over. You can't. Court will say, look, on the date of sale, was there a liability? No, he sold it. Now you have to recover dues, you recover in the normal procedure. The search might have taken place on 31st March 22. You have sold assets on 14th April 22. They could not have done earlier. I'm saying if you, now the moment the search is conducted, they can provisionally attach your assets. So what happens? They have that window to ascertain whether taxes are paid on this, whether the amount of undisclosed income found or documents found or liability which may potentially come to you, will it be covered by these assets? They are trying to protect the interest of the revenue. And so it's a pro-revenue amendment which has taken place in the last 2-3 years, but definitely we cannot question that because they're provisionally attaching it. They are not going to sell that asset. It's not that they will sell the asset tomorrow and recover the tax. No. Once a liability is fastened on you, even then they can't sell it. They will give you a chance to pay taxes. Then you will take installments. Even then you don't pay. Then they will go under the second schedule. They will say they will auction your property. After all the legal procedures that you are not paying taxes at all, through all means, by writing to your debtors, they are not paying it to you. After all that, last resort will be to liquidate your properties. It's not that they complete assessment and they give you a liability and you say I don't have money, they can't sell your property and collect it. No. They have to go through the procedure of law to collect that particular money there. Now what happens in case of CA offices, lawyer offices? so happens most likely many times that chartered accountants would have maintained the books of accounts of the SSE. It's not that bookkeeping of the taxpayers is wrong. It is legally permitted by the institute. Only that you can't audit their books, but you can do bookkeeping of a client. The books are maintained at your office premises. You might have sent some tally backups or other details to them. The search happens in SSE's place. He says the books of accounts are with the CA. They come and search you. What happens? Can they first of all search you? Okay, they will search you. What can they seize from you? Sorry? They will seize your laptop. It will contain data of about 100 clients. What happens then? What happened? This matter happened in Bartley Boy's case. Court said you have gone to collect information pertaining to one SSE. It is available electronically, fine. In your presence, only data pertaining to that should be copied rather and taken. The other data is not. Let them check, let them sit through and check everything. Let them check all the 50 GB of data what's available on your laptop. They can't take a copy of it. They can't clone what is not pertaining to the client other than the SSE for whom they have come. Because otherwise, it is sufficient that they raid one chartered accountant or lawyer and they find 100 files there, and tomorrow they search the 100 other fellows. There is no end to it. There will be no end to the madness. So therefore, matter went up to the court in Bartley Boy's case. So therefore, we have to be very careful in saying that what they can seize, what they cannot seize. They can definitely seize your laptop, but they will not be permitted to clone the entire data. You have every right to be present when the thing is happening, saying you check everything. My representative will be sitting with you. He will authenticate what you are checking and permit you to take copies of the data pertinent client. This is a theoretical answer. What happens, it's for you to deal. But legally speaking, they cannot take data of other clients. Unless he verifies, how does he know what all you have of the client? If they have come to search Mr. X, they will know, but they can't seize it, no? They will go to the X tomorrow. You can't stop him. But at least legally, you are ensuring that he is not seizing the data from you.
Can they take notice of that? They cannot copy the
They can't copy. He will write saying this was there, because it may be a code word. It may be, your client may be Mr. X. You might have deliberately named it A. So he will open that A and check whether this is X or A. He will do that.
He will do that, but can he make notings of that? He cannot take the copy.
He can't see whether he can make notings, not. How do you prove some? Assuming he makes notings, what will you prove? It is not available to you. He will not produce it to the court. Unless in GST there is a instruction 1 which says that you can videograph the entire proceedings. Then you will be able to demonstrate saying, look, he's copying something illegal. Okay, what happens for that illegal activity? He will be issued a memo or something for in the department thing, but assessee cannot take benefit out of that. He can only indict him saying he is doing illegal activity not permitted, but they will take record saying I am in the nation's service in production of revenue, I am writing down something. At most he will be issued a memo and let off. So which is why I said legally what can be done versus practically how it happens is a completely different footing. At that point in time, it is not legal evidence. Yes, yes. Definitely yes. They can't copy it. They find some notings saying, look, they have done this transaction or whatever. They'll come across WhatsApp chats, deleted emails. All that he has to call up somebody and say, look, this person is also involved. Issue a notice to him. That's all. Which is why you have to be very careful. Saying demarcated areas, demarcated systems, where nothing else must be there. Which is why technology, when you are using it, the flip side of that is this. They have every right. You cannot, assuming they won't even tell you, they would have made some notings. Or they have a mechanism to keep a track of what's happening. How will you know that this information they have used against you in that other search? You will not know. You will not know. And in continuing the example, in the premises of X, they have found some data of Y. If there is no transaction between X and Y, there is no way somebody will be able to relate the evidence or search in the case of Y saying, because of a search in the case of X it happened. Unless they have some transaction, however remote it is, you will not be able to link it at all. You won't be able to link it. Practically I'm talking, you won't be able to link it. What happens, how the information flows, what they do is on a different footing. But what you can do with it, nothing. You have to sit with them for the data to be cloned or copied and say that this doesn't pertain, this doesn't pertain, show this is not Mr. X, this is something else. They will not take it, which is what the court said in Bartley Boy's case. Can you record the conversation? Search is happening. Videograph may be happening, but not all video cameras are equipped to record voice. Can you separately record the conversation when the questions are being asked to you? Saying I want to record it. Legally, yes, but try your luck whether they permit it or not. Legally, yes, they can. You can say, look, you will asking a question, I may not recall, I want to record it. Because how will they try to implicate you? So in question number 4, they would ask you something. In question number 17, they will try to link it in a different form and fashion. You may give a different answer. But if you are smart enough, look, I think I have heard this question somewhere. I'll replay it and check whether they asked me that question again. Or I'll go through and check whether they have asked this. So this is practically. And legally speaking, yes, you can say I want to record it so that there is no miscommunication, there is no change, or but whether it happens or not. Next question is, in which language should it be recorded? They record a statement in, say, English normally. If the assessee is not conversant with English, what happens? He is literate, but not conversant in English to that extent. And what happens? You need to have one more person who knows both the languages, and it must be recorded in the statement saying this is being explained to him in the vernacular language to the assessee who doesn't understand English. It has been explained to him, and after explanation, he is signing this. So the person who is brought in as a translator or a witness also has to sign, saying that otherwise tomorrow, why is this came in? We have taken positions in the past wherein, look, this statement is recorded, this man is second standard 2 times failed, so therefore he could not have given this statement at all. So therefore this is a doctored statement, this is invalid. You will win that. Which means, if without evidence, if only some you recorded or admitted to some income, you will win that because it is proved that he could not have given these statements at all. So therefore, legally speaking, department also will find out. If you are not a conversant, they will bring a person saying, you bring somebody of your choice. Because again, tomorrow you should not say, I gave a different answer, department wrote it something else because they brought their person of their choice. So to translate, they will give you the choice to bring whomever you want. So tomorrow you can't shift the blame on the department. Similarly with the panchas being brought in, what it says is 2 respectable witnesses from the locality. You can't pick up some random fellow on the street and say, I have known this newspaper vendor and the milkman for many years. I don't question their integrity, they are very good. They may be fantastic human beings. But whether he has the legal acumen to understand the provisions of search, seizure, the implications of prosecution are not have to be questioned. It is not about somebody's individual traits as a good human being. Somebody ensuring that he feeds stray dogs or he ensures that blind people cross the road will not qualify as a person to be a pancha. He must understand the provisions of law and the ramifications of making a false statement. So he must be a respectable witness from the locality. And then I think you had a question saying, can you bring a witness of your choice? If he is from that locality, he fits into the thing saying he is a respectable person, you may tell department, let him be there. They will say, why? You can always give an answer saying, I am not too sure what you will do here. You may record something contrary what is being told. So I want my person to be there. They may permit. If that person satisfies the other conditions of being a pancha, they will definitely permit it. You can't tell them that the search is happening in Bangalore, you want somebody from Bombay to be called in. They won't permit. Then the simple rule will be they will call the managers of the bank or something which you can't dispute. You can't dispute them as panchas. You can't make a claim or allegation that they will bias against you, because a person whom you don't know, if you make a claim, you're supposed to establish saying, no, look, this bank manager I will not, because I had a tiff with him in the past, he had made my accounts NPA, therefore I will not want him. You may make they will remove him, because at the end of the day, if they bring a witness who is going to, whom you can use against department, why will department want to bring that fellow? What is the role of a pancha? He is not supposed to interact, he is supposed to observe what's happening, and at the end of the day, affix his signature to the in the Panchanama saying, look, we were called upon by so and so, this happened, the search started so and so date, it ended so and so date, this was the list of inventory found, this was found and seized, this was found but given back, cash of say 14,36,000 was found. They may seize only 14 lakhs. They will write there, found 14,36,000, returned, seized 14 lakhs, returned 36,000. Or they may give up the entire thing, say, entire 14,36,000 is seized. Or they will not seize even 1 rupee. They may say cash found of 14,36,000. All of that they will take signature of the pancha. So he must be a respectable witness from the locality. And respect, I am saying it's not about a personal trait like I explained. He must be able to conversant with the provisions of law and must be able to also tell the assessee that, look, you are making this statement, a false statement may lead to a prosecution. He must be in that category. You can't bring some random person and say he is a pancha. Next, what are the rights of an informer? Somebody gives information, authentic information with records to department. They conduct a search. The internal guidelines stipulate that the informers get 10% of the tax that the department collects as reward. After the taxes are collected by the department, they apparently give, and it is not brought out in public domain. You will not know that so and so is an informer as you commonly come across in media and thing. You will not know who is the informer, who has given you that information, but they are entitled to. At what stage after the taxes are paid, they don't go on further appeal. How many of them actually get the money is another thing, but legally they are entitled to. They say that about 10% of the tax collected for the informer. On tax collected after, I think, exhausting all remedies. If somebody goes in appeal, they will not. You have 101 conditions for that, but you have something there. Next question is, what happens for non-residents? Can you search non-residents? The non-resident, he has come to India on a visit. Can you search him? Are you permitted? Yes, non-resident can definitely be searched because, and once you have found income here, etc., etc. But if he's a citizen of a different country, you search him here and other things. Then you have to also see the diplomatic channels and thing, whether you will subject him to thing here or you will report it to the embassy there. Those challenges will remain for foreign citizens who are searched here. See, not on criminal acts. If they are found with narcotics and other things, they are imprisoned and there is no case. All that they can request is send them back to our country, we will imprison whatever the UN and other things and human rights. But even non-residents can be searched. Now somebody had a question about the virtual assets and search, how it's happening. See what is happening, for example, take cryptocurrency. The Bitcoins or Ethereum or whatever you call it, as different companies who are dealing in that. They come to your premises, they search, they find out that you have mined it yourself. Take a hypothetical example that you have mined the Bitcoin many years ago. So therefore it becomes yours. There is no illegality to it. You transacted with it, which means you purchased something. So well, if it is giving rise to some income or expenditure, at some point in time there is value attached to it. So if they have found that you have a wallet wherein there are a lot of Bitcoins which are worth so and so, you have to explain the source of the original purchase. If it is proven, it is not illegal. RBI said they are not permitting it to be used as a currency. But is it stopping you from taxing you? No. You are possessing it, yes. You are selling it, yes, pay taxes. But if your original acquisition source of that is illegal, which means assuming you had 1 lakh undisclosed income, you are used to purchase Bitcoin, which value has become 1 crore. How much can they tax you on? No. Originally, income, undisclosed income is 1 lakh. You will pay tax on that. It is similar to property purchase. You have purchased a property outside the books. When you sell that property, you have to pay taxes. It is in a position.
So if I purchase a gold,
You purchase gold. From how much? You spent 1 lakh and purchased the gold.
now the gold value is 1 crore.
Gold value, have you sold it?
No,
No.
they have seized the gold.
They have seized the gold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether the tax is on 1 lakh or 1 crore.
What the department does, they will not get on to, they presume you purchased it today. If you prove it, it was purchased with evidence many years ago, then they can't tax you on 1 crore. If there is no evidence at all, it is presumed that on the day of valuation, whatever the value, they will ascribe to it. If you are able to prove, look, I had undisclosed income then, I have purchased this is the bill, I have purchased, but I have not accounted it. Now, two things. One, you purchased with legitimate funds, not accounted. See, you have drawings in your books. You purchased, not accounted. You might have spent from the bank account. You might have debited as drawings, but it is an asset. They can't tax you on that. But assuming you had other source of income, not disclosed, you purchased gold, you have the bill in your name, all documents.
No, then in the case of properties, it is purchased 20 years back. Site, it is now around 1 lakh. So the site value is 1 crore. Now when they come for search, this is the property document.
Yes.
So whether the tax is on 1 lakh or 1 crore.
What basis 1 crore? You have not sold anything, no?
No, that is undisclosed investment.
Undisclosed investment. If you are able to prove, as I said, if you are able to prove that it was purchased many years ago at this price,
No, that is proved by the document itself.
honest, you might have paid yesterday also for, see, on money transactions, unless proved with evidence, they will presume that you paid more.
No, what I am telling is
No, I understood, sir. You are saying 20 years ago you purchased with 1 lakh undisclosed cash, and that 1 lakh cannot be brought to tax now. Correct? It is beyond limitation. They found the property. They said this is invested. They will say, they will bring a value and say this is the value on which you are supposed to pay taxes. This is the value on which you are supposed to pay. You fight for saying, look, my cost of acquisition is only 1 lakh. I have not sold it. On what basis will you tax? That's a legal battle which will ensue. The legal battle will go on. You have every right to defend yourself saying, look, this is there. What in case of inheritance? You might inherit a property on which tax has not been paid. What happens? Your father or your grandfather did not pay taxes. He had a property. He has willed it to you. It has come through to operation of law. Then the department finds out that this is out of illegal income. What happens? The legal battles will go on as to if taxes were due from them, from their estate they can recover, they will recover. Now, why is 148 only 10 years? Now that the Black Money Act has come in, if it's a foreign asset or something to do with foreign money, limitation does not apply. It is deemed that whenever they have found it, it is that years. So this defense of 20 years, 30 years will not apply for this foreign asset, which is why you had the 16-year limit in 148, which is no longer there. People are rejoicing. They said, boss, Black Money Act has come. At least earlier you had a 16-year window. If you cross 16 years, they could not have questioned you. Now, it doesn't matter. Your great-grandfather had something. It comes to light today about US dollars being in a position in some bank account. It is deemed that it is this year's and pay taxes, which is why the Black Money Act has come in. And in of a cash transactions, property transactions, Binami, because those laws have been enacted now and they have given power under the Binami law now, a lot of things they will attach under Binami. Then it says it's not yours. Then you will say it's mine. You will say, no, I'll pay taxes, it's purchased. So law will ultimately catch up. Which one? Ideally, they will say the value because you have not sold it. No, at VDA value again is indiscriminate. What, it's like stock market, no? What was 1 crore yesterday, tomorrow morning it can be 0, the bitcoins. No, it's not like that. Definitely not. There is a government value at which it will be sold. The government can come back and tell you, look, if you're saying that this is not at all marketable, what happens if department gives a counter offer? You say, look, this property is 10 crores. No, department saying 20 crores. Give a counter offer. Okay, I'm ready to sell at 20 crores. They will not buy it. You take the reverse. You say this is only worth 1 crore. He will say, I'll pay 1.25 crores. How can you refuse then? Similarly, with this VDS and all, it is still developing. We don't know how they're going to treat it because no search has now culminated, which has come to us to say what has happened. They have found, seized, undisclosed. Whether it is undisclosed or not, maybe they are out of the purview of income tax, money laundering, and it's being probed under those things first. Because what are these used for ideally? They are not being used for purchasing, what do you say, garments and eating out in restaurants here. They are using it in darknet for some other activities. So they are being probed under different statutes. So which is why probably we have not encountered so far, which is what Sachin also said. Because to the extent we have not encountered a search with videos being found undisclosed. We have been seeing in papers saying that somebody had these bitcoins, is it scam, other things. But nothing has come to income tax to say this is illegal or whatever so far. And maybe assessments are not framed. Or it's not come to my stage so far for me to have my opinion on that. Otherwise we'll see. Any further questions?
The PO has to be completed in how many days?
60 days is a procedure they are supposed to complete it.
60 days from the date of search, or conclusion of search.
It's ideally it's about 1 day difference. Maximum will be 1 day difference, right? Search action. Ideally it doesn't extend beyond 24 hours. There are cases when they have stayed for 2 days and all. But again, 60 days, they can extend it for 30 more days, they will take special approval. I'm telling you, those are very hyper-technical things to say. Your case or additions won't be won based on a PO being operated late. Assuming you win that battle, you will lose the war. So therefore, for academic understanding, it's good, but practically how it happens and how legal it, which is why they say, no, the facts against you are strong, argue the law. If the law against you is strong, argue the facts. What if both are against you? Thank you for a very patient hearing. Thank you.
The very practical aspect of search, survey and seizure, from what rights the assessee has when IT officer enters the premises being searched, how to check the authenticity of the officer or the search warrant itself. The erstwhile methods of recording the statements and getting the records has changed, coupled with practical cases in his from his super seniors were discussed, garnished with the Honorable Supreme Court of India's cases to substantiate the rights of assessees at the time of search. A fantastic 2-hour session on the practical aspects of search and survey and seizure under Income Tax Act 1961 with 17 years of practical experience in this subject could have happened. A big round of applause for CA Prashant GS for a fantabulous deliberation. Thank you. On behalf of members present here and all the managing committee members of Bangalore branch of SIRCF ICI, we would like to hand over a memento to the speaker as a respect and gratitude. Can I request CA VM Tuppad, CICASA chairman, to come out to dais and then do the honors. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prashant. Members, this ends the second session now, and then we shall break for lunch arranged at 4th floor. And I request everyone to reassemble at 2:25 p.m. Sharply to listen to CA Jatin Christopher sir on inspection, search and survey seizure under GST Act. Thank you.